Welcome YouTube. Today I'm working on a 2006 Dodge Charger Pursuit. Now this is located right underneath the driver's floor area. Now the support area on the floor area alongside the driver pan is okay because I had to repair that a few years ago and put in some thicker steel. But as you can see, this floor section is rotted out and the underneath support is still good. I'm going to have to clean up the surface rust that's going on that. But besides that, it will be just the floor pan area that has to be taken care of. Alright, so the plan is to cut away until I find some clean metal that I can weld to and get rid of anything else that's too rusted or anything that will not be structurally safe anymore. Now, unfortunately, my GoPro was dead during this time, so I didn't get the footage of me cutting out the rotted floor pan area, but I'm pretty much traced back to where I can cut away the last little bit. There's some factory seam sealer on that edge where the overlay goes on, but we're going to clean that up and cut it out. But at this point, I cut back and got to the place where there was strong metal everywhere, and I will have to just wire wheel and get in a new patch. Well, here is the aftermath of the process of cutting away at that floorboard. Most of it pretty much disintegrated as I started to cut away, and that is pretty much the result of the sound insulation holding in the water between the metal. So many areas have the overlay where the seam sealer was, which is that one big piece of metal that was still cut out, where you could see a little bit of the overlay next to the scrap pile of rust pile right here that you see. But other than that, we got it all cleaned up and we're gonna get in a new piece now. I like to use a piece of cardboard and that'll be like malleable and allow you to trace out a template for your sheet metal and how to cut out a piece if you can't hold on to the original piece of metal that you cut out or if it just falls apart in your hands. Now, it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. You can always add on more material to your template, whether you're using tape or you're using some extra cardboard. I like to use a little bit of tape to help you get the fine, little extra detail that you need, or if you need to attach another piece of cardboard. Now, as you can see, this is my template, and I'm going to be cutting out some 18 gauge steel, which will allow me to have a little bit stronger than the factory thickness that was on the floor pans that were already there. Now I'm tracing to the edges of the tape that I used, and that is actually where the extra material was needed to be added since the template was cut a little short in that area. Or as I was cutting the template, you could add tape if you want to have a little extra in that area, which is what I ended up doing. Now take your time with your magic marker, and this will allow you to get a good edge on your template onto the sheet metal. Now once it's mocked up, you can move the original template out of the way because you will be cutting it with your electric shears or cut off wheel. And I use electric shears to do mine. But my electric shears pretty much max out at 18 gauge steel, which makes it a little bit harder to cut it out. But as you can see, the template lined up, and this piece of sheet metal will be dropped into the floor area to get that all lined up and ready to go. Alright guys, thanks again for coming to my channel and watching so far. Now this is what the end result of getting this mocked up looks like. I used some sheet metal screws on the edges where the factory seam sealer was, and I removed the factory seam sealer first. This is where the floor pan is allowed to overlay, and you are allowed to overlay as long as you seal both areas on your patch to make sure no moisture can get in and cause some extra corrosion between there, and use some weld through primer before you put your screws in. Now it's going to be a butt splice in the back where the support is, where the frame goes on for the seats. Then I will do another panel that will go in underneath that will allow me to patch that last little area that's missing underneath there. Now remember to like and subscribe to see more of this car getting repaired and getting back on the road. Also, if you like classic cars, we have a few of them that we're working on, so stay tuned. A part 2 of this video will be coming soon. Thanks again.